So happy to have our next two guests. Welcome back. The summer of 2018 has been an interesting one politically, but 50 years ago in the summer of '68, protests surrounding the civil rights movement and protests against the Vietnam War, well, they made it a very violent time.
And we're not just talking about violence in the bigger cities of our country. Things were happening right here in Connecticut.
James Battaglio writes about it in the current issue of Seasons magazine. Jim was a journalist with the Hartford Times newspaper. He's joining us with Lou Brown. I'm so excited to see you, Lou, the legendary Connecticut reporter who retired from WVIT a bit ago. He was also working as a journalist at the time. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
This is such I cannot believe, first of all, it's 50 years.
50 years.
Of this time. And Jim, I read the article, and it's fascinating.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about it for those who might not have had an opportunity to read it yet.
Well, you may have noticed there's a tremendous amount of interest nationwide in the year 1968, not only because it's the 50th anniversary of that year, but because it was a year of infamy with the death of Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy. And what have you. Those were the two people that many put their hopes and faith into in terms of civil rights movement. And when Dr. King was assassinated, the country just turned upside down. As Lou and I were street reporters at the time, and we covered the riots, if you will, or civil unrest.
Scott, you said you read the article.
I did. It's fascinating.
First of all, Jim Battaglio, Bernie Sullivan, and myself, we're all native sons. What does that mean? We all lived in the North End.
In the North End.
And proud African-American, proud Italian-American, and proud Irish-American.
What struck me most is that there were actually snipers on rooftops in Hartford. Snipers on rooftops in this city, in Hartford.
Firebombs, snipers. The hardest part was watching your neighborhood burn.
Yeah.
The streets where you lived.
And at that,
Go ahead,
I'm sorry,
please,
at that time in the North End, we lived together. It was not Xanadu. But we respect and we knew we ate off each other's table. Therein lies the difference, in my opinion. And the fact that Jim's perspective as a journalist with the Hartford Times and my perspective in electronic media at WKND Radio, the urban media, and Bernie Sullivan as a cop lived on Albany Avenue. He lived on Barber Street in North End.
Unbelievable. That's crazy.
You talk about perception, and I noticed what I thought was very interesting about the article is the perception of the way that men viewed 1968 versus women versus 1968.
Yes,
Can you touch on that?
you'd have to call it a tale of two sexes. Seasons magazine had asked me to interview other people on their perspective of their memories of that time. Virtually every female loved 1968. It was a year of new cars, fashion, Jackie Kennedy, the miniskirt, Twiggy, nightclubbing, and what have you. And from a male perspective, it was a very dark time. They were terrified to walk
Open
up
up
to
that
their
mailbox. Yeah.
Right.
It was a greetings from Uncle Sam. Vietnam loomed heavy at that time. So no males had good memories of 1968. It was truly a year of infamy for them. And conversely, the females. It was a very interesting dichotomy. It really was.
The perspective that your career came from a nun, cracks me up. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I had a nun, I had an aunt who was a nun who's since passed away. She was family matriarch, if you will. And when I was a junior in high school, she insisted that I take typing in my senior year, which would have been 1964. I fought it vehemently, and she said, the people who know how to type will get ahead in the world.
And
so I was one of two males in 1964 who took typing. And when I went to work for the newspaper, it was in the mailroom. And one day, flu permeated the city room, and the city editor came to me and said, "You know how to type, don't you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "For the next so many days, you're going to sit at this desk and take dictation from undertakers, seed companies," because I had to do the garden club. Anyway, the same thing happened when I went into the military. I had orders to go out of state
That was the fastest 5-minute interview of my life, and I wish we had more time to talk.
You read,
I
you read
know.
his article?
Oh, absolutely.
I
yeah.
recommend it for anyone
Everybody.
to.
Absolutely.
And Lou, we're so grateful that you're still here with us and come on.
blessed.
Be a guest anytime.
I'm blessed. Thank you,
Well,
Scott.
we're blessed to have you. To find the article that we're talking about today, head to seasonsmagazine.com. It's listed under featured articles, and look for Seasons in your mailbox. They arrive free of charge every few months. There's Seasons of the Farmington Valley, Seasons of West Hartford, Seasons of Glastonbury, Seasons of the Northwest Hills, the Connecticut Shoreline, and Seasons New Haven. So thank you, gentlemen,
Thank
so
you
much. We
both
so
for
appreciate it.